how societies fall. And no amount of, 30,000, it's like cockroaches, when you spray them with poison, they start running around eating and fornicating because they know they're about to die. And so 30,000 drones, checkpoints, pillboxes, bullets, none of that's going to save you from your own theft. The trillions stolen every few years by the Pentagon, the no-bid contracts, the government just in everyone's face, the inexorable confrontations that will come. All right, we're going to come back, take a few segments of calls, then I'll get into the news. But there's your big rant on that subject, and I will get into the amazing quotes. I mean, here's the Christian Science Monitor. Is Ron Paul getting ready to endorse Mitt Romney? And then it shows how the press releases they're putting out are like, settle down, be nice. I may not go to the event you set up for me to have our own convention. No, we're not outsiders now. What's happened is they have married Campaign for Liberty and all their little comb-over advisors who think they're Karl Roves in the making. They have married them to the Republicans, and there's a big power trip going on. And we're supposed to just kneel down and go, okay. Folks, have you lost your power and wanted to say... I just can't get over this headline at Infowars.com with the video of him saying it. In fact, guys, you have that interview. You isolate the part where he says, there are definitely things between good and evil. Yeah, that's how everybody always starts selling out to corruption, and pretty soon you hit rock bottom. Man, I tell you, I want to get off this Rand Paul subject. Every day I tell myself I'm not going to cover it, and then every day I just see that I was right about my initial gag reflex. I mean, one thing if Rand Paul would have come out and said, well, I disagree with a lot of what he stands for, but he's better than Obama, which really that wouldn't be true either. But we're going to try to influence him. And it was like, no, he is the man. And by the way, we may not have that other conference, and you be respectful. And, let's endorse a bunch of CFR people. And if you don't like it, grow up. All right, I'm going to shut up. Shut up, Jones, and take calls. George in Florida, go ahead.
Yes, Alex. I'm 75 years of age and may have a slightly different perspective on the Ron Paul thing.
Yes, tell me.
All right. You're a warrior, and I greatly respect you, and the Bilderberg stuff was great. But Ron, at his age, is more like a sage, and he's been giving out a message for years. I don't think he's afraid of threats against his own life, but I think what happened in Louisiana with the caucus and what happened to his head man there being knocked down by the police and dragged out and put in the hospital could have affected him dearly, because he does not want his people to suffer that kind of injury.
Yeah, well, the founding fathers didn't want us to suffer any injury. We would have been total slaves if a bunch of them hadn't died. I don't think we can twist things to make all of what's going on okay, because if we do this, they're going to turn completely into neocon land. At least Rand is. We've got a hope here of spanking them back onto the, narrow here. But again, the liberty movement, Ron Paul and Rand Paul are popular because we've made freedom popular. You've done it, sir. And
yes, I gave money to their campaigns, and I'm on Social Security, and I am disappointed, but I think as a lone messenger for all those years, Ron Paul is a brave man. And
I agree with you, but their campaign people who speak for them are being condescending. They're not saying we understand your view, but listen. No, it's like, well, you're just stupid. And okay, fine then. You made your bed, sleep in it. We got a poll running right now. 85% disagree with what Rand's done at Infowars.com.
May I say that since I'm 75 and Ron Paul's 76, what if we were to find out 6 months or a year from now that he or his wife had been diagnosed with terminal cancer?
No, I understand. Listen,
would we attack him and throw him under the bus, or say thank you for the years you've put in? As an older person, I'm just saying we should be a little bit kinder and gentler toward Ron Paul and not throw him under the bus.
I hear you. Listen, I feel like I've been thrown under the bus. So let's get that straight. We're not throwing anybody under the bus. We're upset about what happened, and we're getting feedback that we're bad because, not from the listeners, you're one of the few callers that disagrees, but from the establishment that we just don't get it. No, we get how the compromising works. We liked Ron Paul because he never did compromise. And if I was diagnosed with terminal cancer, I would get even more hardcore in what I believed in. I certainly wouldn't back off. And maybe they know what they're doing. Maybe they realize they've got so much power in the Republican Party that if they just play possum, they can really get in there. And maybe down the road, I'll say, well, look, my gut tells me this is bad. My gut told me stuff was going wrong months ago, but I denied my gut. And
Louisiana on that Tuesday, a week or so ago, when the Republican guy in charge of the caucus, supposedly 121 out of 121 out of 180 delegates in Louisiana were Ron Paul people.
Yeah.
They called in the Shreveport police, and they knocked this guy down and put him in the hospital. He was so blood red in the face, I thought he'd have a heart attack.
No, and Ron Paul's response is, you be respectful. It's his fault. And now, they're talking about not even going and meeting with their supporters at the event because they know they're so mad.
It's a great disappointment. I just wanted to give a point of view of a 75-year-old. I think Ron Paul we all have human failures.
Sir, I hear you, and I appreciate your points. Thank you. Listen, you're not getting it. 100 years old, 25 years old. People say, oh, Ron Paul isn't Rand. That was the first talking point. Look, they coordinated his release. That made me upset. That, okay, we're not going to win with the delegates now. Well, they knew that months before, but strung people along. I didn't like watching people get played like that. Like cult members running around in front of me, even in my office. I was like, look, dude, this isn't going to happen. Okay, they're doing this just to continue to keep momentum going. Okay? Oh, no, Alex, we're going to win. It's going to happen. He's going to do something big. And I'm like, no, he's not. And then he coordinates the day that his son goes and endorses Mitt Romney on Sean Hannity, and then all the other coordinations. All right, giant news blitz coming up here in about 10 minutes. I've got to start getting to more of this news. It's all just crazy and very important to paint a tapestry of a gestalt of what's going on so we can look into that field of data and portend our course. But right now, let's go to Chris in Florida. You're on the air. Welcome.
How you doing, Alex? I'm a first-time caller. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I just had one statement I wanted to make, and then I had a quick question for you.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
My statement is I just wanted to let you know that your message is reaching the masses. I don't really get into the award shows, but my wife asked me to sit down and watch the MTV Movie Awards with her. And in Russell Brand's opening statement, he threw in a bunch of comments about global elitists running the world from the shadows. And when he signed off for the night, he ended it by saying, long live the revolution. I didn't know if you guys had people that could search.
Listen, I was listening to XM this morning driving in. I think I was listening to the Boneyard, one of the rock channels, just going through it. And I heard the lady going, there's a movement against children being able to have lemonade stands and learn the free market system. The federal government's out of control, and it's part of a plan to track everything we do. And I only caught part of it, and she said, so get behind this national movement today. Guys, will you look up a national movement for lemonade stands today or this week coming up? I mean, I don't know what. The point is, I actually left my cell phone at home, so I couldn't call you guys from the road, so I forgot about that. I'd already left and didn't have the little data tracker, so I was unable to do that. But, and all the time now, I listen to local radio, national radio. I'll be listening to a country music station. There are liberty lovers everywhere who are really realizing this is serious, and they can't stop everybody in the media if we all just start going public. And that's what's happening. All over the place, mainstream news is reporting on Bilderberg. All over the place, people are talking about the GMO in the food. I'm sorry, go ahead.
This was broadcasted across the world, Alex, and he made more than one comment about these globalists.
Okay, well, I know that's exciting because I know Muse, the only links they have on their official site, one of the top bands out there, and I've had him on, he's a listener, Bellamy, they talk about the New World Order. Almost every big rock band I end up talking to, I don't care if it's, I mean, you name it. Some people want to be off record, so I won't say their names, but it's pretty incredible, is all I can say. How many people are awake? But again, most of them don't want to go public. They just think that I'm a touchstone, and if they give me a call or something that, hey, we appreciate what you're doing, we know what's happening, And I'm like, why don't you come on the show? And they're like, oh, it's a little too scary, but maybe someday. Okay, fine. And again, there's no way to even really contact me other than email or through my intermediaries because I'm too busy. So sometimes I talk to famous people who've been trying to get in hold of me for 2 years. So, and again, I'm not bragging. I'm saying that's a sounding board. That's a sonar ping of how many people are awake. Go ahead.
My question is, my youngest child, he's 4, he'll be 5 next month. He does have a pretty significant developmental delay. He's 4 going on 5. The doctor said in his mind he's more like 3 going on 4, so he's about a year behind. And I'm trying to enroll him for school next year, but I don't want to vaccinate him. And they're telling me here in Florida that there's no way I can put him in public school without him getting his vaccination, because I'm pretty sure the delays that he has are directly related to.
Yeah, but they want to brain damage him more. You see, it is genetically predisposed that the aluminum dioxide and other chemicals are causing the autoimmune response in his brain. And then genetically, some people, especially boys in general, but across the board, blacks, it's even worse, black males, that it causes a really bad autoimmune response in the brain. Women are designed to have another human grow inside them with a different blood type. So women, on average, have less allergies, can take bigger abuse to their bodies. They're not as physically strong, but they're health-wise much, much stronger. They can't bench press as much, but they can take bigger gun wounds, hatchet attacks, drugs, poison. Women are, any doctor will tell you, much tougher than men. And so it's killing our boys. A lot of them die when they get the shots. Now the pediatric associations are having to say, it's normal to have a seizure now when you get your shot. Everything's okay. So don't bring your kid back in, so they have to do the adverse reaction report. Just go home, have a seizure. Even if your 4-year-old or 2-year-old doesn't ever talk again, that's normal. And here's the total fraud. There is a religious exemption. There is also a conscientious objection and a medical exemption in Florida. Some states only have 2. I remember from, guys, pull up vaccine exemption Florida, and we'll give the guy the actual law. But the criminals at the brainwashing, filthy, murderous government death camp known as a public school, where your child will learn how to use drugs and be picked on by bullies and become sexually active and live in hell and be henpecked and be put in the database and filmed in the bathroom. Those hardcore criminals who just think it's normal, we've got to tell them, no, you're hardcore criminals. They lie, because when they get 97% vaccination rates, brain damage rates, murder rates, they get a big part of their federal funding. Large parts, I think it's up to $2,000 per student. On average, that's more than a third. Well, no, the average student costs $7,000, so it's under a third. But they get a lot of their federal funding, where they take our money and send it back, globalist funding, when they've had all the shots. There is no law. The exemption is to the state health department policy. Like Rick Perry came out and said, it's the law, all girls must take Gardasil ages 12 and 13. Tens of thousands went out, took them, a bunch died in the trials. Didn't matter, vaccine damage money kicked in. Once government mandates it, it's not the law, but they mandate it, then vaccine taxpayer money kicks in to pay for the damages. They are lying to you when they tell you that it is the law and you're not going to go to public school. It is a total and complete fraud. On screen, I have the state exemptions. Available exemptions, medical and religious. And it goes on. Religious exemption request must be presented to DH Form 681, religious exemption form immunization, which is to be issued by the county health departments. And again, it's not to a law, it's to the health departments. You notice I told you that before they put it on screen. So imagine the savage, rageful, deceptive. I mean, let me tell you something. If I was in a school and some dirty principal or some dirty murdering nurse, that's what they are, sat there like a punk